What is going on, TU crew, and welcome back to another episode of Cut for Time. I am joined by a very special guest today in Mr. Stefan Logan, former NFL player, former CFL player, now retired and enjoying life. How are we doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me on the show, and I'm absolutely enjoying life, as you said.
Absolutely. And like I said, we appreciate you coming on. It means a lot. So first of all, I just want to give the people a little bit of background here. You currently hold the most single season return yards in Steelers history, 55th all time in kick return yards, and 40th all time in kick return yards in a single season. So obviously, great return man. But before we get into all that stuff, which we will get into later, I wanted to start with college. We had somebody on recently who is also from Miami, Mr. Ricardo Lewis, former Auburn and Cleveland Brown wide receiver, and he's from Miami as well. And he said that he went to Auburn just because he was kind of looking to get out of Florida. And I know that you went to the University of South Dakota. So I kind of wanted to get your story as how all that went down, what made you decide to go there and kind of move away from Miami.
Well, mine wasn't the same with his, as he said. He just wanted to go to Auburn and get away from Florida, get away from Miami.
Yeah.
Mine was more of I had to get away from Miami.
Yeah.
I had to get away from Florida because I was kind of going down the wrong path. And, I said, if I stay here in Miami, and I wasn't even a troublesome kid. I didn't do stuff to just be getting in trouble. But like I tell my sons all the time, like you can get one time and it can destroy everything.
Yep.
So it was something that I needed to do. And I just kind of took it upon myself with my family, my mom, my dad. My dad used to be on me. And I just took a chance. I bet it on myself. And I went to Miami-Dade. I went to Miami-Dade for a whole year and a half. And then I said, you know what? I got credits. I got classes to transfer to different schools. So I said, you know what? Like I said, let me take a chance on myself. And I said, the first school that called, I'm gone. South Dakota called. They didn't offer me a scholarship right away because at the time they didn't know what I was going to bring to the table because I was 3 years removed from football. And they took a chance on me. And just like they say, just like I say, that was the best move I could have made going to the University of South Dakota.
Yeah, I mean, what better reason to get yourself out of a bad situation and put yourself in a much better one?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously out of South Dakota, you go undrafted to the Miami Dolphins. When you were growing up, were you a Dolphins fan or anything like that?
Nah.
Yeah.
No, I've never been a Dolphin fan. I was actually a 49ers fan. I was a Jerry Rice fan. I love Jerry Rice. And I was a Jerry Rice fan, and I liked the 49ers, but football, like my idol, who I wanted to be like was Barry Sanders, because he just was same style, same stature. Of course, he had bigger legs, but he was just somebody that I felt like my game mocked everything that he did. I just felt like I had a little more speed. But as far as the quickness, explosiveness, just being creative when he out there on the field, that was just watching him being with Detroit. It just drawed me to the football game. And I knew I was a Jerry Rice fan, but I knew I wasn't going to play receiver. So I just liked who he was. I liked his game. I just liked what he brought to the table. And, that's kind of like how I got into football. But no, I was not a Dolphin fan. But when I signed with the Dolphins, I was so happy because I got a chance to be home, my parents. I was going to save money. I just look forward to the whole opportunity and just get myself out of the situation that I was in, going to college and then coming to the Dolphins. It was like, what better result you could ask for?
Yeah, like full circle, really. You leave Miami to better yourself, and then you're able to come right back with the Dolphins. So that's amazing. And speaking of moving, you then go from the Dolphins to basically the other corner of the U.S., just outside the U.S., to the BC Lions, or the British Columbia Lions in Vancouver. So tell me a little bit about that move and what it was like kind of going from, you growing up in a more moderate temperature and stuff like that to then having to move up to Canada.
It's crazy when you put it like that, because I went from the bottom down here in Miami, Florida, all the way to the top.
Yeah, it's
right on top of Seattle.
Diagonally, straight across.
Just going diagonal, straight across, 3,000 miles away from home. I knew football would take me where I wanted to go as long as I followed the ropes. And, when I was with the Dolphins, I was on the practice squad. So I didn't have no film. I didn't have no stats, nothing like that. So when I had got released by the Dolphins it wasn't even due to my stats, so it wasn't even due to my performance. It was just they wanted somebody bigger in the position. Nothing I can do about that. So my agent, he called, he said, hey, let's go to Canada, let's get some stats, let's get some game film, and then we're gonna come back to the NFL and show them what we can do. And I followed his lead, and I say, you know what? I tell anybody this, and this is God honest truth. I said, look, if you just get me there, I'll do the rest. We went to Canada, signed with the BC Lions, and ended up winning a starting job. And it was like, I just took off after that. It was just like, no looking back at this point, because
Absolutely.
I asked for it and here it is. So you better be ready when that door opens for you.
And that's exactly what happened, because you go straight from the Lions then to the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2009, where you have a fantastic season returning the ball. I mean, we're talking 1,466 yards, which I was looking into it, and because you see that number and you're like, that's a lot of yards from the returning position. But there was just so many guys at that time that were going crazy as far as returning, or that were returning the ball so much that you somehow, some way didn't lead the league in either of those seasons. So I did some digging. I was like, this is crazy. Like, how could he have not led the league? Since those two seasons, the 1,466 yard season where you were third in the league, and the 1,448 yard season with the Lions where you were fourth in the league, only one person has had more yards than that. One, David Wilson in 2012, where he had like 1,500 some yards. So, I mean, you were absolutely going crazy throughout your NFL career. Like I said, starting with the Steelers and then with the Lions. So I kind of want to talk about moving from the CFL then to the NFL and then back to the CFL. What would you say are like the biggest differences between the two leagues?
Of course, we already know the feel, the downs, the motions, and of course, being in Canada is a little bit different. But as far as the talent, I would say, talent NFL is a little more talented because you got all the top 5 recruits coming from the best colleges going to the NFL, and you got the top tier guys. Yeah. But the interior guys is the most important. Like that O-line and D-line was just totally different from the CFL. They was bigger, they were stronger. So that really made a difference from the NFL to the CFL. But it's talent in CFL. It's some talented guys out there, and everybody wants to say the NFL. But if you go over there and you watch, and you actually on the field with these guys, and you checking them out, you're gonna ask yourself, why is this guy not in the NFL? Like, why is he still over here in Canada? Like, I've seen that, like, from my time being there. What's his name? Chris Strebler. He went to my school at University of South Dakota. He did sign with the Dolphins. He was the backup quarterback with the Cardinals. The linebacker for the Eagles right now, Singleton. I played with him when he was over in Canada, and it's crazy. He played special teams as well. After a play, it was a punt return, and I had before I went to the sideline, I said, bro, you don't need to be here. You need to be in the NFL. I said, dude, you can play. He was a really good linebacker. He was undersized, but he was a good linebacker. And as you can see, if you don't watch the Eagles, his name is Alex Singleton. He's the starting linebacker for the Eagles, number 49. I mean, the dude can ball. And it was a couple of differences that they had, but if you was a football fan or a football guy that knew how to play, you will adapt to the rules real easy. So it wasn't as hard as people thought.
For sure, 100%. And there's a reason that there's so many of those stories, like you, for example, where you come from the CFL and then move into the NFL, because those guys are talented. It's just the situations are different. So what would you say is, now that we've talked about the differences, what would you say is the biggest similarity between the two? Or like you just crossing over from one to the other, it was a very smooth transition because of this particular thing?
I think it was a smooth transition for me. It wasn't nothing too like difficult that I had to pick up. I think when I got there my first year in 2008, I think I was more nervous of being out of Florida. I mean, being out of the U.S. I think I was more nervous with that. I wasn't even nervous at playing. I was more nervous. I'm going from the U.S. to Canada. I'm like, oh my, like I got so much going on in my mind at the time. I'm like, what if something happened when I'm over here? Like, will I be able to come back home? Stuff like that. But as far as the transition on the field, no, I actually like playing over there a little bit more when it came to special teams, because they give you a 5-yard halo for you to catch the punt return. So you're gonna get you averaging, depending on how good your defense is, you averaging between 5 to 7 punt returns a game compared to the NFL. Not fair catching. I'm talking about just returning the ball. In the NFL, you might get 2 a game. Over there, you're averaging between 5 to 7. And then kick returns, you're gonna get a return every game because they're not kicking it 100 and something yards. They're not kicking out the back of the end zone.
I saw one of your most, 70 yards. Recent seasons with in the CFL. I think that you had like 70 some returns in a season or something like that. So I can definitely understand. You get the ball a lot more.
A lot more. One of my guys, name is Tim Brown. He's there in California. Shout out to my guy Tim. He got his own gym in California.
Okay.
He told me he was a running back as well, and he said, "Steph, I know you want to play running back." He said, "I don't." He said, "I'm the starting returner, and I'm cool with that." He said because over there in Canada, it's a passing league, so the running backs only will get probably like maybe 12 carries a game, maybe.
Yeah.
He said, "I'm gonna get probably 6 returns." Well, he said, let's say 6 punt returns and say 3 kickoff returns. You got 9 returns, and I'm gonna have more yards than you. And you started the whole game. You had about 60 plays, and I only did a total of maybe 20 plays. Maybe. I was
That's
like,
crazy.
You got a point. He said, that's less beating on my body with more yards for you. He said, think about that. And when he said that, that made so much sense to me. And I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and kind of take my mind away from being a running back and just being a good returner, because I'm going to get the same amount of yards, if not more, with less beating.
For sure.
Why not?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, keep your body, right, so that you can enjoy retirement and stuff like that. And also, get the ball in your hands. So obviously, like you were just saying, you made a career out of returning the ball. And somebody that was a finalist for the Hall of Fame recently, Devin Hester, when that was announced, that list, I don't know if you're totally aware, but we came from TikTok, basically came together and made this podcast from our followings on TikTok and stuff.
That's awesome.
So during that time where the finalist list came out, Devin Hester was a finalist, and there was a lot of dialogue around that. He's obviously one of the best returners of all time, but there were some people on TikTok saying that he didn't deserve to be a finalist. He didn't deserve to be first ballot, which he's not going to end up being anyway. But there were even some people saying that he didn't deserve to be a Hall of Famer at all, with the biggest knocks against him being that he wasn't that great of a receiver, which they didn't ask him to be. You know what I mean? He was a return man. And they're saying that the return position isn't valuable enough for him to make it. So as somebody that played the position for as long as you did and were successful at the position, what kind of goes through your head when you hear stuff like that, or you hear people talking about the position in that way?
I actually saw some of the stuff that you're talking about. I saw when they had put it on Instagram. I just got TikTok, so I'm just figuring that thing out.
Yeah.
I saw when they posted on Instagram, and it said Devin Hester be going to the Hall of Fame and stuff like that as a returner. And I saw some of the comments, and I mean, some of that stuff be rude, but at the same time, you did something that no other returner has done. And just so you know, when I was with Detroit, we and him was in the same division.
Yeah.
I finished 2010. I finished with more yards and a better average than he did. He went to the Pro Bowl. I finished second on the Pro Bowl ballot. He went to the Pro Bowl because his name alone. But hands down, I did have better stats than him that year. But
trust me, I saw all of it.
Hands down to that man. I mean, he did something that nobody else have done. Like, how you have 20, I think it was 20 touchdowns as a returner. I mean, it's crazy, what he was doing. And I was like, when I saw it, I was like, he did something nobody has done this
exactly
before. Nobody. So how could you knock on somebody that has the stats, the numbers? And like you said, they didn't ask him to be a receiver. He was more of a trick play type guy.
Yep.
He wasn't a great DB, but y'all was scared to kick the ball to him. And when y'all did kick it to him, if you kicked it to him 5 times, 2 of those times he was running it back.
Yeah.
So, if you watch what he did as a returner, that was phenomenal, man. I mean, the dude was just off the chain. Open on the Super Bowl, opening kickoff return, he ran it back for a touchdown. How could you knock a dude that was so exciting that the fans would get up just to watch him as a returner. Y'all got up before, you know, whoever the quarterback was when he was with, I don't know, Rex Grossman or Jay Cutler. I don't know who it was, to watch this man return these kicks. And he did it with every team. So how could you knock on something like that? I'm kudos to him, and I'm cheering for him, and I hope he get in because he done something nobody else never did.
Exactly. And I totally agree. And here at Totally Unqualified, we like to support our special teams guys because that's a huge part of the game. Like a lot of people may not talk about it as much as they should, but I think that he 100% deserves to get in. And like you said, people were wanting to watch him when they were watching the Bears, especially in his time with them. They were watching him. You see a lot of Devin Hester jerseys now over, like you said, the quarterbacks from that time. So it's crazy. But we talked about football and everything. So I want to get into a little bit more about you. I was doing a little bit of research, stalking, whatever you want to call it, on your Instagram, and I noticed that
That's
you're
what you're supposed to do.
exactly. I noticed that you're really into cycling. Is that something that you kind of recently got into post-retirement, or have you always been into that, or how did that come about?
Never been into cycling. I knew how to ride a bicycle. I knew how to BMX, and I knew how to jump ramps and all that kind of stuff. But I never was into cycling like that. I just was. It was crazy. It was just one day I had a BMX. I had a mountain bike, and I was like, man, I need to find something else to keep me fit besides, just going to the gym all the time. I'm not a gym buff like that. I just go to keep myself in shape, of course. And I had my mountain bike, and I was like, let me just go take a ride. So I just went. I did like 10 miles. I came down and back. It was 10 miles total. I was doing that like 2 times a week, and then one of my friends, he was like, Steph, you should get a road bike. Like, I think you'll be really good at it. So I was like, all right. So I kind of looked it up, see how much they cost. I'm like, okay, these things are pretty expensive. So I said, you know what? Let me buy a used bike and see how much I would like it. And if I like it, then I'll look into more stuff. So I went, bought a bike. I didn't get all the clothes yet. I just kind of had on a t-shirt and some shorts, and the wind was blowing me all over because the bike was so light. And I was like, hold on, this ain't gonna work. So I ended up stopping to the store, got all the gear, got a helmet, got the cleats clipped in, got the shoe, got all the kits and everything. So I'm like, all right. So then I went out that day when I got it. It was like night and day. I went from blowing all over the street to it was just like, and I saw the speed. I'm a speed guy. I saw the speed that I can pick up on this bike and how the cardio and the endurance that it did for me. I was like, wow, I might like this. And then I came one Saturday, I rode with a bike group, and it was big. And I was like, wow, this is really something that I can get into because it give me that same burn, that same passion, that same fire as I was on the field.
Sure.
And man, I picked it up, man, and I ain't put the bike down yet. I've been riding that bike ever since, and I'm racing now. Everything.
I think that's awesome. I mean, post-retirement, you got to find something that you're into and to keep you in shape and stuff like that. And what better than something that you can do in a group like that? While we're on the topic of hobbies, though, what would you say you enjoy most about boating?
I think the most I would enjoy about boating, of course, most people like fishing and stuff like that. I think for me, it's more of it's something I can do with my family and my friends. My wife, she loves it. My wife has stage 4 cancer, by the way. So, like they say, F cancer. So I'm all about that. F cancer. Foundation of Love versus Cancer. And I think I can enjoy the love of being out in the water with my wife and the kids, and we just sit back and we relax and cruise through the water, have a little cocktail, to have some food, listen to some good music, and just let the water, just to clear your mind.
Yeah.
And we really enjoy being out on the boat, even though it be hot as I don't know what out there. But we enjoy being on the boat. My a couple of my friends have boats, and one of my other guys, he likes to fish. So if we go fishing, we go on his boat. And we want to kick back and relax and party a little bit, we go on my boat. So I think that's more of the what I love about boating. It's just the time to relax. I don't have no hair, but let your hair down and just cruise through the inlet, man, and just see all of the scenery. Because we got a lot of scenery, nice houses in the inlet. So we look at some of the houses, some of my $1 million, $2, $3 million homes, and you just cruising on by these homes, just looking at these houses, and just kind of mesmerized. Like one day, if you want something like that, you might
Yeah.
not want nothing
Yeah.
like that, but you just kind of look to yourself and like, man, look at the yachts, look at the boats, look at the yard, look at the people. So I think that's what we enjoy the most when we out there on that water.
Is your wife the one that runs the TikTok account where you post all your videos about boating and stuff like that?
Yes, my wife runs that. She runs that account. So she posts most of the stuff on the TikToks and on the Instagram page. So yeah,
Gotcha.
she runs that. I got my own TikTok that
Yeah.
my TikTok is mostly just like my Instagram is mostly for cyclists. So
Yeah.
I call it now cycling fitness. So I work out and I show when I'm on the bike, and I show like you need a little bit of fitness to be on the bike. And trust me, I have people DMing me asking me questions. I just got a DM before I got on the show with you about a friend of mine. She's like, hey, I need some tips. I gotta get strong. So I'm like, all right, I'll message her in a minute and give her some tips and stuff like that. But it's just, I just try to enjoy life, and I watch my wife every day, and I think that's what motivates me the most and what pushes me the most, besides like the kids and stuff like that. Like I watch her get up, some of the stuff that she can't do, I can do. So I always make the best of every day, no matter what I'm going through, no matter who got on my nerves or whatever it is. I always try to make the best of every day in every situation, because you never know what might happen. You never know how the day gonna end. So I try to make mine positive all the time.
That's awesome. I mean, I had another question. That was what I was going to end off with, is just asking you kind of what your goal is, or what you kind of shape your life around now post football. But I feel like you just answered it perfectly, just living life to the fullest extent. And you see your wife and you want to take full advantage of your time with her and cycling and all that stuff. And I think that's fantastic. That's awesome stuff.
Hey, that's pretty much what it's all about. Like I always
For
tell
sure.
people all the time, like we all got problems. Everybody got a story, but like they say, nobody don't care about your problems. Everybody, you have your friends that you complain to. Like I have my best friend. We talk on the phone every day, and we know each other's problems. Like we say, like we brothers.
Yeah.
His problems is my problem. My problems is his problems. So problems. So we always look at stuff, and we try to do our best to look at stuff in a positive and never a negative, because negative is so easy. Negative is really easy.
For sure.
Staying positive and staying and keeping a positive mind, that is very hard, because that's why I always have a smile on my face all the time, because I try to look at the positive in every situation. Sometimes I don't be like that. I be ready to cuss, but sometimes like what's done is done. Ain't no sense in you trying to be mad about it. Like my wife
Yeah.
always say, what's let's find a solution. What's done is done, but let's find a solution. So
I
that's
love
kind
it.
of like how I do it now.
I think that's awesome. Well, I thought that this was a great interview. Again, we very much appreciate you coming on. If there's anything that you want to shout out or anything that you want to plug real quick for the people to go check out, you can go ahead and do that now.
Well, I'm sure y'all can follow me on Instagram at
Yeah.
Stefan Logan _0. My TikTok. I'm talking about TikTok. My TikTok is cycling fitness. My Facebook is just Stefan Logan, and y'all can follow our boat pages. Low boating underscore. No, it's low square boating. Sorry, I'm thinking about something else.
No, you're fine.
That's another thing we're working on, but it's called Low Square Boating. That's our Instagram page. But yeah, man, thanks for having me on the show, man. I really appreciate it. I love talking to people that take a passion in something else, to sit down and acknowledge not only football, but just acknowledge people in general.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I mean, we appreciate it more than you know. And I love having these one-on-one interactions and stuff like that, because like we talked about before we started recording, you just never know what other perspectives you can get out of people.
Absolutely. And
All
that's
right.
and I really appreciate you having me on the show, man. It's always fun to me to just, pass down some of the knowledge that I learned, from some of the vets and stuff like that. Even with cycling, some of the stuff I do now, I love to pass on the information, because people looking at it from the outside looking in, they like, oh, is it really that? Yeah, it's really that hard. It's really that serious. But so yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on the show, man. Hey, keep that thing going.
Absolutely, man. And age is just a number, right?
That's a hey. If y'all don't know, he already said it for y'all. Age told the number.
All right. You have a great one, man.
Hey man, have a good night.
You too.